Well, I mean, you've been doing evangelism like this for a long time. It's amazing to me, to think that the what was the film Jesus Revolution that came out? Was it
Yeah.
last year? I can't.
No, is it probably 3 years ago now? Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, that really tells the story of your
Yeah.
life, of your coming to faith, and you have dedicated yourself to bringing people across the goal line into the kingdom by faith to believe in Jesus. And you've been doing this. I had the privilege of being with you in Anaheim Stadium a number of years ago when you had your crusade there. And to think that you would go to the University of Utah, when you talk about LDS, you talk about there are a lot of people in that world that they have questions. They have the idea that you would be allowed to go there and to, in the most unadulterated way, present the good news of Jesus Christ and make an invitation and to have all these people say, yes, I want that. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it, Greg, that this is part of God's plan in allowing Charlie to be taken so young. There's a lot more. You keep hearing over and over and over again of people coming to faith or deepening their faith or something. And, we don't get to choose what happens. There's evil in the world. But to have the privilege to see something beautiful come out of something so awful as the murder of our friend, it's just it is beautiful. And I have to say that I'm grateful for your willingness to do that, because that's not easy to go to a place like that that's associated with darkness. But that really brings me to the point that this is redemption, folks. Think about it. To go in there and to say, okay, devil, you did this evil thing, but the devil has done all kinds of evil things, and God can turn them and can redeem. And when we think that all of these folks that have come to faith in Jesus, because you were willing to go to the very place where this happened, there's no way around it. That's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah. I was thinking of something else, Eric. I know you've spoken out a lot about the rise of anti-Semitism, and we both have a deep love for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel. And I'm thinking one of the worst tragedies in human history is the Holocaust. 6 million Jewish men, women, and children were put to death. The only thing that, I don't want to say it equals it, but a modern version of it is October 7th, when over 1,200 Israeli men, women, and children were brutally murdered by Hamas. But on the heels of the Holocaust, the modern state of Israel was born, which I believe is a modern day miracle. Some would contest that. Some would disagree with that. They don't even think that that's a fulfillment of prophecy, but I know you and I see that differently. So my point is simply this. God can work despite a tragedy, and nothing was more tragic than the Holocaust, but yet almost as if on cue, and I believe they were on cue, Jews from around the world began to return to their homeland, and on May 14th, 1948, a modern-day miracle took place. The modern state of Israel was born, and so I think I appreciate your voice on this topic. I know you talk about it a lot. I do as well. And we believe that God has not broken his covenant or his promises to the Jews, and Israel is clearly their homeland, and they're the indigenous people of the land, not colonizers, as some would say. And we pray that they will come to Christ. And I think more and more Jews are beginning to realize that their best friend is the evangelical Christian. And we're seeing wonderful stories take place of them coming to understand that Jesus can be their Messiah. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, I have to say, I never dreamt that we would see the rise of anti-Semitism in my lifetime. I simply did not. Obviously, I wrote the book about Dietrich Bonhoeffer, and I thought, everybody knows that anti-Semitism is wicked. It's just evil. So to see the rise of it, and to see, it's funny, you mentioned my encounter with President Trump recently. When we posted that, I posted something about that on Instagram, and it went crazy. on Instagram.
Yeah.
But my followers on Instagram did not go up. And I asked my team, I thought, this is bizarre because we have this post that's going so viral. Anytime I have a post that does well, you get an addition of followers. And my team said, because you have posted, pro-Israel or pro-Jewish stuff, whatever, there's all kinds of people that don't like that.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. And then the same thing happens on X. I post on X, and a lot of the responses are, it is just the vilest anti-Semitism. And it's hard to believe that it exists.
It is.
Or that people who they think of themselves as Christians, that they're this theologically confused and they don't buy what you just said, which I've said a million times, that yes, the Holocaust, the horror of the Holocaust led to the establishment of the state of Israel, and how beautiful, how wonderful, how redemptive. And, and there are people that don't buy that at all. They just think, man, who cares? It's so we're living in really strange times to see anti-Semitism in our time, and to see people my heart broke that Tucker Carlson, whom I've really admired, would have on somebody as just shockingly, openly, viciously anti-Semitic and racist and misogynist as Nick Fuentes. I thought, what kind of a world do we live in that these things are happening? So it is a strange moment, and I feel I feel honored that I get to stand in this moment and say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, everything that I know says that we're supposed to love the Jews. We're supposed to, pray for Israel, for the peace of Jerusalem. We're supposed to understand the Jewishness of Jesus, the Jewishness of the early church. And there's some people that, in kind of an unhinged way, they are really pretty viciously speaking against it. It's an amazing moment, really.
Hi, I'm Chris Himes, producer of the Eric Metaxas Show. We're outside the Tiberias station of Magan David Adom, Israel's national security medical service. They dispatch every ambulance in the country, take thousands of emergency calls every day, and they also collect, process, and distribute the nation's blood supply for civilians and the IDF. Since October 7th, Magen David Adom has lost 40 of their people, and 17 ambulances have been destroyed or disabled. And yes, sometimes medics and ambulances are intentionally targeted. But here's what's incredible. 90% of their 30,500 EMTs, paramedics, and first responders are volunteers. They keep showing up, yet they need the basics: bandages, blood reserves, medical supplies, ambulances, and training. If you have a heart for Israel, please give whatever you can today. Every dollar matters. Go to savinglifeisrael.org and support this organization. Thank you so much.
I think it's a sign of the times, Eric, and I believe we're in the last days. I believe Christ could come back at any time. And there's an interesting passage in the book of Revelation that says the devil has come down to you, and he knows that his time is short. Believe it or not, Satan is quite orthodox in many of his beliefs. And by that I mean, the Bible says the demons believe and tremble. If we were to interview Lucifer himself, which I wouldn't want to do, but if we were to say, Lucifer, do you believe the Bible is the word of God? He would say, yes, I hate every word of it. Do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God? Again, he would have to say yes. He even said as much during the temptation of the wilderness when he said to Jesus, since you are the Son of God, multiple times. And then finally, if we were to say, Satan, you believe Jesus is coming back, he would say yes. And I'm going to wreak as much havoc as I can until he returns. He knows his time is short. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see the rise of evil, anti-Semitism, this vitriol and this hatred toward not just Jewish people, but toward Christians as well. And the murder of our friend Charlie Kirk. But what should we do? Should we retreat to a foxhole? And no, we should be bold. And the best weapon we have in our arsenal, Eric, and you know this as a MAGA preacher, the best weapon we have, that was a joke. Okay, so you are though, but in the best way, the best weapon we have in our arsenal is the gospel of Jesus Christ. And we need to proclaim it boldly, without embarrassment, and maybe with a boldness like we've never had before in the days in which we're living.
Well, and I see that happening. That's what's so amazing. That it was Tertullian around 200 AD, I guess, said the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. You don't want, nobody wanted Jesus to be crucified. Nobody wanted Stephen to be stoned. Nobody wants, but we know that God will use these horrible things. And what happened with our friend Charlie, which is so horrible, but clearly people are coming to faith.
No question.
People who ordinarily wouldn't take it seriously. Elon Musk, Jesse Waters from Fox News.
Yes.
It seems like every other day I see somebody else saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm in. I'm interested in this. I wasn't before.
Right.
It's amazing.
And the ultimate tragedy of all time was the death, the murder, the execution of Jesus Christ. But from that came the salvation of the world. And going back to Stephen, who you mentioned for a moment, after Stephen was martyred, of course, they laid their cloaks before Saul of Tarsus, who came to faith on the Damascus Road. I think there's definite cause and effect between his conversion and the testimony of Stephen. But we also read that after Stephen was put to death, that the gospel began to spread. You see, prior to that, the church had sort of missed the memo of Jesus when he said, go into all the world and preach the gospel. They were kind of hanging out in Jerusalem, sort of having a holy huddle. But after Stephen was martyred, they spread out rapidly. And so God used that horrible event of the first martyrdom of the church, this young man named Stephen, who, frankly, Charlie reminds us of him, another young man who spoke about his faith only moments before the assassin killed him. But now more people are hearing Charlie's message than ever heard it. More people are buying Bibles than they've ever bought them before. More young people are coming back to church, Gen Z, and specifically young men. This is a new thing that's happening, and it's sort of like Charlie's death poured rocket fuel on a pre-existing revival fire. So I see it dramatically spreading. And so God, I heard Erica say in her interview with Jesse Waters, who you mentioned, that she believes if Charlie was given the choice to come back from heaven, he would say no because of all the wonderful things that God has done despite this. But yet, having said that, we need to remember this is a woman who has lost her husband. I saw her not long ago, and she said, I wish we could have all that God is doing and I could have Charlie back. And I understood that because 16 years ago, our son Christopher was killed in an automobile accident, and we really miss him. The holidays are especially difficult, but I said to Kathy afterwards, because God was doing so many amazing things in our life and through our ministry after Christopher was called home unexpectedly to heaven, I said, I wish we could have all of this and him too. Well, one day we're going to have it all. We're going to be reunited with our loved ones.
That's the amazing, amazing thing. That's the amazing thing. That's the beautiful thing. And the Lord wants us. He wants to build our faith so that we know that. That's not just a nice idea, that is true, and we know that's true. Before I let you go, I just have to say, Greg, when I was at the memorial for Charlie, whatever it was, a week or 10 days after his death in Phoenix, when Erica Kirk said that she forgave the murderer, I said, that is the clearest example of Christian faith. If you want to solve for X, you just no confusion. You just want to know what is it all about. That is it right there. So powerful. And I said, that's like dropping a hand grenade into the bowels of hell. You have just done damage to the dark kingdom by forgiving the murderer of your husband. And I honestly believe that we are in a glorious, glorious moment. And we've only seen the beginning of it. There is much, much more to come. And I just look forward to, participating with you, however the Lord will use us in this. It's beautiful. I look forward to seeing you in the new year, the Super Centennial. You know that it's called that.
I like
did
that.
I make that clear?
I'm in. The Super Centennial.
Next year is America's Super Centennial. And I look forward to seeing you next year. I have a book coming out about the American Revolution, which I am so
oh my goodness, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a big book. It'll be as big as the Bonhoeffer book because it's the whole story.
Oh, we need it.
The whole no, yeah, there isn't really anything quite like that. You know, there's millions of books on the Revolution, and I've read most of them at this point. But to really tell that story, and also to see God's hand in it, which is frankly unavoidable. There's just no way around it. It's so beautiful. So that'll come out next year, and I'll be traveling around and
I want to
speaking.
have you come, and I'd like to have you on my podcast. I'd love to talk about that and have you out at our church. Let's dive in deep into that.
Let me be blunt. I don't care who knows it. You can't afford me. Not happening. Okay. All right. I don't care what donors you have. No, the answer is I'll pray about it. No, I would, I just love any excuse to hang out with you. So I assume the Lord will put that together, but it's exciting. These are all exciting things. Thank you, my friend, for coming on.
Thanks, Eric.
And for everything you're doing. God bless you and Kathy and your family. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.